be mad to settle
Hi,
here.
Zizaran here with another video, and in this one I wanted to cover the current state of the endgame, notably tier 17 maps and scarabs and juicing and stuff like that. Well, it might not be in the best state, so I figured I'd go through my opinion on that in this video. So, we had tier 17 maps were recently introduced, and they were interesting. So obviously there were a lot of issues. They could not be rerolled at all. I'm currently not a fan of how they are only rerollable with chaos and that they do have pretty crazy mod. Now the trash monsters in them were nerfed quite a lot. Honestly, that doesn't feel too bad anymore. And you do have the bisect scarab, something like that. You do have the bisection scarab to make maps easier by removing the prefixes or the suffixes for hardcore. However, this also does remove the any benefit from that. Like I said, they've made the monsters so much better. They are really good, and the bosses are like okay-ish. Still think Ubers are easier. I think the biggest problem with them, however, is that because you can use scarabs in them, we're seeing anyone that aren't able to farm tier 17s with these scarabs left out. Now, this is a bigger problem on softcore than it is on hardcore, because on hardcore they are more dangerous, so there are even less people that can do them. From what I understand of softcore, pretty much every scarab is priced around you doing that strategy in tier 17s, and that means that scarabs are to some degree off limits to people that are farming tier 16s or want to use them in lower maps. So I think that's a little unfortunate. I don't think it basically ends up becoming a new problem that tier 17s were trying to fix. So for example, if you're farming Uber at Zeri, you would have to do normal at Zeri to get the fragments and then get Uber. But by the time you're strong enough to do Uber at Zeri, normal at Zeri is trivial and just feels like a chore, right? So I get that. I understand the fact that they didn't want just the normal bosses to drop Uber fragments. I do think that's mitigated a little bit if they had really interesting drops still on the normal bosses that were rare. So maybe one or two more items on the normal bosses that were rare, but I get that. So they had like the click a button to turn in normal into the Uber version. Well, then you're only going to want to do the Uber version. Unless there's really different drops on normal and Uber, and there's very big difference to do both. But if one is more profitable and you can, then you will always do the Uber version. So honestly, I don't really have a solution to this. What a horrible problem to have to solve. I'm so happy I don't have to solve it. And I do remember a developer at one point said, players are really good at identifying problems, but not good at coming up with solutions. And in this case, I definitely feel that's very true. Very often that's very true. I feel very like, I have no idea how to fix this. I just know that I don't think that stuff currently feels great. It's not like it's awful in game running, but it definitely doesn't feel like we're there yet. And then you also have like other end game strategies, like, you know, doing the wildwood and juicing up your map. Like that's in a really weird state. So there's like a lot of the like end game juicing is sort of like not here this league. So honestly, I'd be interested to do like maybe a video with MP and Snap and stuff and talk to them about how they feel end game juicing is, because they do it hard on softcore, and that's not there as much this thing. Obviously, quant farming's gone. It does also feel to some degree that gold costs are massively balanced around tier 17s, so that, yeah, it's really stressful for most people to have enough gold to like go to sleep or level another ult or do side content. Like if you want to interact with like Blight and stuff like that, you get so little gold that you cannot maintain a city. Like maybe maintain the boats, but like I've been leveling a lot of alts the past few days, and I do play a lot, and I've had to be like, okay, I'll do 2 to 4 hours of tier 16 mapping, and then I can level an alt, or then I can go to sleep. And obviously this would be a lot easier with tier 17s, but yeah, like I'm doing like pretty scarabed up tier 16s right now, and these are giving me between 20 to 30,000 gold each. But that goes fast. Like, if I turn my mappers on, which I don't anymore, even though I want to have them on, because the rewards aren't half bad, but my wage goes up to 60,000 an hour, and I don't have a single level 10 mapper, which I do want. So, and yeah, I haven't even been able to afford to, like, keep rerolling for more. The boats I could probably almost downgrade, but definitely I do hope that we'll see some tuning of gold I don't think we'll see any tuning of the endgame or tier 17s, but I would love to see a buff or a change to like how we interact with tier 17s. Maybe tier 17s should have randomized scarabs added to it. I don't know what the choice is here, but like, I don't know if scarabs working on tier 16s and tier 17s is a good thing for the majority of the game. It does end up being a very like, this is only for the 1% thing, which I don't think is healthy. It's very similar to Legion. And my main problem with Legion and Headhunter. So I really disliked Legion League. And the reason for that was during Legion, Headhunter was so important. You needed a Headhunter to play the league, basically. I'll explain. It was so incredibly profitable. And you would basically just be buying Legion Splinters from other people. But the problem is that Legion Splinters ended up becoming so expensive that if you were a regular player, or even like somebody like myself, but playing without a Headhunter, if you didn't have a Headhunter, the maximum possible profit from you doing a Legion run would be less, like literally like hitting like peak jackpot almost, right? Like multiple jewels dropping, everything going well, maybe dropping an Exalted Orb, etc. The peak drop of you doing a run would be less than just selling those splinters to somebody with a Headhunter. Because the difference, what the output of a Headhunter character could get versus a normal player, was so staggeringly big. And that was so sad that you can't even like just have a good character and do well in that league. You literally needed a Headhunter. So that made such a chasm between the 1% and casual players, or even players that just didn't have a Headhunter. Obviously, like I had access to a Headhunter. I just chose not to use one because I thought it was stupid. And that's why I in that patch became a huge proponent of like make Headhunter like worse for things like that. Or my suggestion during that league was make every Legion monster unique, so the Headhunter just doesn't work in Legion, because that was stupid. But I feel like we're in a bit of a similar state right now, where some things are becoming very 1% only. And the thing is, you're always going to have that no matter what. And I don't think Scarabs need to be that, right? You're always going to have like Ubers and stuff is only going to be for good players. That's fine. Like the endgame bosses should be for only good players, right? You do have the normal bosses and the endgame bosses. And I think most casual players realize like, yeah, there is a huge need for aspirational content. But when Scarabs become sort of like, yeah, you find your own, or you're better off selling them, I don't think that's a fun thing. Like, let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm cooked here. I'll maybe reach out to some blasters and see about doing like a mini podcast type thing about it and talking, because I don't play softcore. But yeah, either way, that's like my initial feelings on tier 17s and blasting and stuff like that. It's definitely not in a great state. I think some things can maybe be fixed this league, but a lot of it is like a larger overhaul needed. That being said, it's not the end of the day, because I'm having a lot of fun with the game. So it's not like the game is shit, everything is doom and gloom. These are just things that can be improved for the next league kind of thing. So either way, I'm having a blast. Hope you guys are too. Really fun league. Maybe a bit of a too gloomy video. But yeah, I'm actually having a blast. So if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less.